Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas, and this is Investing Against the Grain. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about Tesla's release of the Button. If you're not familiar with the Button is Tesla's FSD beta, which up until this moment, it was only for 2,000 beta testers that Tesla had hand selected. Now, with the Button, anybody who has paid for the $10,000 FSD package or anybody who signs up for the subscription of FSD on a monthly basis can access FSD beta. Now we're going to go into this, but we're also going to go into what I think is a next level move by Tesla in order to get mass adoption of this software of FSD. Okay, if you are a Tesla investor, this is groundbreaking, this is revolutionary, this is just absolutely next level genius. Okay, you won't see this from any other automakers. You're only gonna see it from companies like Tesla and some of the very top software companies, and ergo why I always say Tesla isn't a auto company, they're a software company, they're an AI company, they're a robotics company. Okay, so we're gonna unpack a lot of this and see how this could really create a demand and need necessity for FSD moving forward. Before we get into it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, and let's get into it. Friday evening, Elon Musk sent out a tweet saying the following: FSD beta request button goes live tonight, but FSD 10.1 needs another 24 hours for testing, so out tomorrow night. Elon, true to his word, that button did come out Friday night, Saturday morning for those of us on the East Coast. And 10.1 did come out. By the time you're watching this, it came out on Sunday early morning or Saturday at night, depending, again, where you live. This episode is mainly going to be about the Button. We're going to talk a little bit about 10.1 and some of the full stack rumors and comments I've heard. I just want to give my perspective as an engineer of what I think is going on there. But we're going to focus right now on FSD beta, the Button. So let's take a look at that. Friday evening or Saturday morning for some people, they went into their Tesla, they went into the UI, and they went ahead and clicked autopilot. And what they saw was the following. They saw the request full self-driving beta button. Okay, this was a moment for a lot of people where it just, to quote Stephen Mark Ryan, the floodgates are opening. This was when FSD beta was finally available to everybody. Anybody who had the subscription, anybody who paid for the 10,000 package, it was finally here. Elon said it would be, it was here, and this was a monumental moment for everybody who's been waiting for this, tracking this, following this. For any Tesla investor, this is the beginning of a enormous exponential turn in the stock price, in my opinion. Not an investor, or not financial advice. This is just from an investor, just from an engineer, just my opinion. And again, keep in mind, this is all stream of consciousness, so, bear with me. I'm excited. This is just, I can't even express how long I've been waiting for this to come out. As people went ahead and pressed the button, there were obviously going to be some prerequisites and terms of conditions that you had to agree with. Of course, there's always two different types of terms of agreement that you can have whenever you're signing up for anything. You can have the Facebook, Instagram, complete BS legal jargon that you don't even know what you're reading. And then you can have things that are agreements where you can actually read it. They're written at a third grade level so that everybody can understand it and it's very transparent and you know what you're signing up for. Of course, that's Tesla's approach, and this is what we saw here. Now, we're going to dive into each one of these and just talk a little bit about what they mean. So let's go ahead and get into that. Thank you for your interest in limited early access full self-driving beta. Keep in mind, beta. Love the exclamation mark because this is exciting. Once you accept the terms below, the Tesla team will analyze your vehicle driving data and safety score to determine eligibility. You can view your safety score from the Tesla app at any time. If eligible, you will receive a software update as part of the limited early access. As far as this whole safety feature and the score and all that, we're gonna unpack that in a little bit here, but let's keep on reading here. The first consent you have to give. I consent to the collection and review of ongoing VIN associated vehicle driving data while enrolled. In other words, Tesla's saying, hey, you need to say yes, that you agree on letting us collect your data on how you're driving and give us permission to do that before we can go ahead and start this process to see if you qualify for the beta. The entire process is really just to make sure you're a safe driver. You're not some lunatic who's gonna, take FSD and do stupid crap with it that's eventually gonna, lead to articles and headlines that are just unnecessary. And then we have the next agreement that you must make. And this is the one I really want to focus on. I understand. It means the person who is consenting to this is saying that they understand that when using FSD beta, I am responsible. Me, the individual, I am responsible for remaining alert with my hands on the wheel. That's my responsibility. I am consenting that I'm responsible for sitting there, remaining alert with my hands on the wheel, and must be prepared to take action at any time. Must be prepared to take action at any time. In other words, you're paying attention at all times. If we just take those key parts that I underlined and we take out some of the other words, which I would say are not fluff, right? I mean, this is very straightforward. I understand, I am responsible, remaining alert with my hands on the wheel, must be prepared to take action at any time. I feel like that's pretty straightforward, pretty understandable by anybody, all right? I could take a toddler and they would understand what we're saying here. What I love about Tesla is, once again, the same thing they've harped on over and over and over, they do again here. Let's take a look at that. FSD, full self-driving beta, does not make my car autonomous. I tried to make this clear if you can't tell here by the graphic. It does not make the car autonomous. The vehicle is not autonomous. It's FSD beta. That word has meaning, and that meaning is saying that it's a work in progress. It's not feature complete. It is not ready. Ergo, FSD is in beta. FSD is not complete. This isn't that difficult to understand. So for all the naysayers out there, all the people want to throw their BS out Tesla, this is saying that you understand the vehicle is not autonomous. So I don't want to hear any more of this crap about, it's misleading. Tesla has misleading ways talking about their full self-driving. Enough with that. This is consenting that you understand what is needed, how to drive safely, that you're responsible, that you're diligent at all times, that you're ready to take over at all times, and you are stating that you are aware that this is not an autonomous vehicle. End of story. Enough said, case closed. That should not be debatable. This should be as clear, cut, and dry as humanly possible. And then we have the third requisite here that you must comply with and you must consent to. I understand that FSD beta can be revoked at any time. In other words, let me break this down in a way that everybody can understand, even Tesla Q and Gordon Johnson. You be idiot, FSD revoked. Idiot, FSD revoked. You don't comply, FSD revoked. That simple. Okay, so this, people should not be able to debate this. All these headlines, all these articles, they should be sued, in my opinion, by Tesla. Okay, because they're inaccurate, false statements that we see in article after article, people after people, right? And these are people in the White House, everyone who are making statements. I'm not going to talk about them now, but this should not be legal at this point. Okay, at this point, it's defamation of a company, what they're doing. And I have a serious problem with it, but I'm trying to just be peaceful and let all that go and not focus on it. Tesla has also implemented yet another safety feature. Let's take a look at that. Tesla has also gone ahead and engaged the cabin camera. And this cabin camera will do the following. The cabin camera above your rear view mirror can now determine driver inattentiveness and provide you with audible alerts to remind you to keep your eyes on the road when autopilot is engaged. Camera images do not leave the vehicle itself, which means the system cannot save or transmit information unless you enable data sharing. The point here is that not only will Tesla now have the needed hand weight on the steering wheel in order to ensure that you're driving and paying attention, but now the camera will also detect, are you paying attention? Are you on your phone? Are you looking forward? Are you doing the things you're supposed to do? And if you're not, it'll give you an audible notification. You'll probably see some stuff on the screen as well, but this is just yet another safety measure. With FSD beta, not only are they as explicit as humanly possible to tell people this is not an autonomous vehicle and that it is up to you to be vigilant and paying attention at all times, they also have a physical requirement, meaning you have to physically have load on the steering wheel for it to continue being in autopilot or FSD. And now they're adding a camera to watch you, right? To make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. So if you try to trick it like some idiots have with a beanbag or whatnot, the visual of the camera will be able to detect what you're doing, movements. Are you on your phone? Are you trying to trick the system? Do you have your seatbelt on, right? All these measures. In my opinion, I would say Tesla has just over and over gone above and beyond with all these measures to protect people who are being stupid, to protect people who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Okay. And if that wasn't enough, let's look at this tweet from Elon Musk. Elon repeatedly, over and over, will put out these tweets discussing the safetiness and the vigilance needed by users. Here's another tweet recently from Elon saying, ironically, yes, at this time. FSD beta system at times can seem so good that vigilance isn't necessary, but it is. Also, any beta user who isn't super careful will get booted. Finally, he goes on to talk about how the 2,000 beta users have been operating for almost a year with no accidents. Needs to stay that way. We're going to go into some of the safety features that the safety requirements needed in order to get approval for FSD beta. But before we do that, let me go ahead and talk about what I think is this, next level move from Elon Musk and team. First of all, as you can see here, their safety record right now with FSD is perfect. It's got 2,000 beta users for over a year with no accidents and needs to stay that way. Now, the reality is, the law of large numbers that statistically nothing's perfect. Eventually, there will be an accident of some form. If it is the fault of FSD, let's just say there's something, a freak moment where the car just decides to turn and something happens. You better believe every single news media is going to take that and run with it. They're going to go and talk about it on and on. They're going to do headlines. They're going to talk about how unsafe this is. They're going to talk about how they're using humans as guinea pigs. They're only doing this for clickbait, and they're only doing this to get attention. All right, we won't talk about how many lives have been saved. The genius part of what they're doing, they are getting data from people. They're going to get all the data of how people are driving before they allow people to get access to beta. And again, we'll go over what that is in a little bit here. I know some of you don't really want to see that part. You already seen it on another channel or something. That's fine. So that's why I'm getting into this now. They'll have that data of how people drive, and they'll have a score. All right, it's a 0 to 100 score based on 5 different metrics, and it'll evolve over time. Right, that's the Tesla way to iterate over and over, make things better. But based on that score of 0 to 100, a individual will have a score for their driving. Now, they'll also, I imagine, I don't know this for a fact, but I imagine Tesla will also have a very similar score for them driving with FSD or driving with autopilot. And so the reason I think this is such a powerful move, and mind you, this is not the next level thing I think they're doing either. But the reason I think this is a genius move is because now, if any regulator, anyone comes up, it's unequivocal. The data is there. The evidence is there. They're using the same metrics, the same standards, and they're looking for the same things, the same inputs, but the output is different. So what I'm saying here is that 87 is excellent. That's great. That's a good score. However, let's say that we have that same individual, same car, same inputs, but when they drive with FSD beta, their driving score is a 98, is a 99. You tell me, at that point, we have data with the same inputs, right? The same inputs, the same 5 categories we're looking at, the same metrics we're looking at, but the outputs are drastically different. Now, 87 is still excellent, but it's not 97, it's not 98, it's not 99. In having this, I think will protect Tesla from lawsuits, from just people who want to create this rhetoric that Tesla's using people as guinea pigs. This will show that Tesla's actually saving lives because there's no other way to really quantify it. We can talk about miles, right? Miles driven, but then you hear people with their BS of, not every mile is created equal. Okay, right? This is the NHTSA standard, and that's what we're going based off of. So, if we're not going to use your standard and that's not good enough, okay, well, here's another way we can do this. And we'll measure the inputs, we'll have like for like, and you tell me which one's safer. Now, what do I know? I mean, this isn't to say that FSD beta is going to be better than a certain individual, okay? But odds are it will be. It's not perfect. People still need to be vigilant. But if people can be more aware and not making mistakes, and you have a car that has cameras surrounding it, you're going to make better decisions, and it's going to make better decisions on your behalf. It'll be safer to drive with FSD beta than without. That's the bottom line. That's the point. It is safer to drive with a seatbelt than without, with an airbag than without. It'll be the same way. What I want to talk about now is what I think is the next level move by Tesla. And I haven't really heard anybody talk about this, and I think it's it's something that really plays into the understanding of how humans work and how society works, especially here in North America. It's this exclusivity need that people have. If something's free, if everybody can have something, nobody really cares about having it. But when there's a limited supply, or when there's a certain XYZ you have to do in order to get something, that creates this kind of demand for things. And I think that's what Tesla's creating with FSD Beta. It's very reminiscent of Facebook. Whenever Facebook first got started, at first it was only at Harvard and you had to have a Harvard email. And then as it expanded, you had to be invited, but you also had to have a college email. And then as it expanded beyond colleges, you had to be invited. We've seen that recently with Clubhouse, and Clubhouse has, for the most part, exploded kind of similarly to Facebook. Not as big, obviously, but it had the same effect. Exclusivity, people want to be part of something. It's like going into a club or into a certain restaurant that, you need to have a reservation way out, and people do that. People get in line for these things. And I think the same thing's going to happen here with the FSD Beta. Okay, you need to have the subscription or the $10,000 package. 2, you need to have 7 days of good driving in order to get into this exclusive club. And then once you get there, it's like you're part of this new community. Okay, you're one of the elite who have this FSD Beta. Now, while Facebook and restaurants and things of that nature don't really provide a greater good to the world and society, this exclusivity with FSD Beta does. It has the potential to save lives. It is getting people to drive safer intentionally. It's getting people to think twice about the decisions they're making every time they drive. Here's another way to think about this. When was the last time you think the majority of people went and had a new driving lesson course for safety? The last time anybody probably really focused on the key principles of driving and how to drive well was when they were 16, 15, okay, getting their learner's permit and getting their driver license for the first time. Since then, it's just kind of been going by the seat of their pants, right? They're just trying to figure it out as they go, and they maybe have learned all these bad practices, these bad habits, and it's stuck with them. This will be a 7-day course, essentially, of how to drive safer, because FSD Beta will give you, or the insurance calculator will give you input on how to drive better so you can get a higher score, so then you can qualify for FSD Beta. So at minimum, it'll be a 7-day how to drive safer course for people who are trying to apply for this. This is unprecedented. Okay, this is just going to drive a greater good in society. Okay, it's going to save lives, and I don't think enough people put emphasis on this. So this exclusivity by Tesla, I think, is a major, major impact, and it's going to really have lots of people now signing up for the subscription, wanting to buy a $10,000 package because maybe they don't want a subscription, and it's going to lead more people to adopting this. And why does that matter for you as a Tesla shareholder? I'll tell you why. Because come Q4, all of this FSD revenue is going to start coming into the balance sheet, and that is nearly 100% margin. Okay, it is very high margin software. This is what people are missing whenever they go to value Tesla. This has been sitting on the balance sheet for so long, but they haven't been able to recognize all of it. Starting Q4, it's going to start to roll in. And just wait. Just wait till you see these margins just climb and climb and climb. It is going to be unprecedented. We're going to see a huge move in the stock, in my opinion. Again, not a financial analyst. I'm just an engineer who happens to have been right a lot with his stock picks. Let's go ahead and take a look at how this insurance metric will test your driving and see if you're qualified and how it will help you improve. The safety score beta that you will have to inevitably go through in order to get FSD Beta. And so here we can see it. This is from the Tesla webpage. And it says here, based on driving behavior for October 1st, you can see a 90 here. I'm not really sure what the actual threshold will be for, I think it'll be 80 or above. So we'll see, but let's take a look at this. The Safety Score Beta is the first release to the Safety Score, which is an assessment of your driving behavior based on 5 metrics called safety factors. These are combined to estimate the likelihood that your driving could result in a future collision. We combine your daily safety scores up to 30 days to calculate the aggregated safety score, displayed on the main safety score screen of the Tesla app. Okay, so if we scroll down here, the safety score beta is intended to provide drivers transparency and feedback of their driving behaviors. Again, this is going to help people be better drivers, okay? And that's what matters. So not only is FSD beta coming into the fold to help people not have to drive, but in that interim, in that gap, we're going to help people drive better so they can be more vigilant and that these things can translate whenever they are monitoring FSD beta. We scroll down here, we can see the 5 safety factors. So the first one is forward collision warning per 1,000 miles. Forward collision warning are audible and visual alerts provided to you. The driver, in events where a possible collision due to an object in front of the vehicle is considered likely without your intervention. So essentially, anytime that you get this audible or this alert, right, because of the potentiality of an accident, because there's, someone or something in front of you, right, that would be a negative on your score. And so what you want is that to happen as little as possible every 1,000 miles. And that'll be the metric they use for this first safety factor. Now, the second safety factor is one I absolutely love: hard braking. Hard braking is defined as backward acceleration measured by your Tesla vehicle in excess of 0.3 Gs. This is the same as a decrease in the vehicle's speed larger than 6.7 miles per hour in 1 second. Hard braking is introduced into the safety score formula as a proportion of time expressed as a percentage where the vehicle experiences backward acceleration greater than 0.3 G relative to the proportion of the time where the vehicle experiences backward acceleration greater than 0.1 G. Okay, so in other words, hard brake versus a nice normal gradual brake is what they're saying. So the more hard brakes you do in relation to gradual brakes, that's what they're using as the metric. And I'm sure they have an internal baseline of what's good and what's not good. And I love this one because it blows my mind that so many people cut it close when they drive because they're sitting there and they're being just assholes tailing someone behind them, and they get so close and then they have to slam on the brakes. And of course, you who's in behind and you're doing the right thing, you just see this and you're right behind them. Like, you're literally seconds away from being part of an accident because someone couldn't give a little space between them and the next person driving. Like, this isn't that complicated. All right, our minds are meant to understand how to proportion ourselves away from another vehicle. The faster we go, the more distance we need. The slower we go, the less distance we need. Okay, this is something intuitively as humans we can understand. So it blows my mind when people don't do it, and I love that this is part of the safety factor in this. Aggressive turning. Aggressive turning is defined as left-right acceleration measured by your Tesla vehicle in excess of 0.4 G. This is the same as an increase in the vehicle's speed at the left-right larger than 8.9 miles per hour in 1 second. In other words, don't be a dick and peel out. Don't take hard, crazy turns. Don't take a turn at 40 miles per hour when you know you should be down to 25 miles per hour. Common sense, okay? Like, this is just to weed out the fools out there. That's all this is. But again, like, we see this all the time. We see people like taking hard turns. I live where there's this really hard turn. It's a wide turn. You have to take to get off the exit to get to where my house is. If you look at that, it's all scraped up with skid marks from people who took the turn way too aggressively and just ran right up against that wall. I don't understand why people don't care about how they're driving and why they don't even care about one of the biggest expenses they've ever had in their lives. Whatever. I'll just rub it up against some concrete. I get passionate about this if you can't tell. All right, unsafe following. This is the one that I don't get road rage, but this will give me road rage. Your Tesla vehicle measures its own speed, the speed of the vehicle in front and the distance between the two vehicles. Based on these measurements, your vehicle calculates the number of seconds you would have to react and stop if the vehicle in front of you came to a sudden stop. So this is what I was talking about before. It's not that hard to understand this physics between you and someone else. Okay, the slower you go, the closer you can be to someone. Okay, because it doesn't take a long time for you to stop. The car is moving at a slower velocity, so it's easy to stop. However, if you're going 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, you need more distance because you're going to need more distance to bring that vehicle to a stop. So that means you need more gap between you and the next car. Like, this is why people who tailgate, in my opinion, should have their licenses revoked. If you tailgate someone, especially on the highway, like, you're just asking to put other people in harm. You're asking to potentially cause a crash, which could potentially cause a death. I think it's completely inappropriate. Finally, forced autopilot disengagement. The autopilot system disengages for the remainder of a trip after you, the driver, have received 3 audio and visual warnings. Okay, this is, you can see down here, a 1 or 0 indicator. It's binary. Did you get one of these indications or did you not? Did it happen 3 times and you got locked out, or did it not? This is very binary, and I love how they're keeping this binary, no gray area, because this tells that Tesla really does care about this. All right, like this one, like talk about like just everybody else is just deaf when it comes to this. They are saying that if at all autopilot tells you, hey, we need to disengage because we don't think you're paying attention, or it happens 3 times and you're locked out, we are saying this is a good or bad. It's that clear cut. We're not even putting in any gray into this. We need you to be paying attention at all times. Okay, once again, Tesla can't make this any more obvious for people. All right, let's scroll down. Determining your safety. All right, you can pause the video here if you want. I'm not going to take too much time on this, but here you can see this is the formula, and it's a predicted collision frequency, and you can see how they determine it here. You can see the weights they apply to each metric, each safety standard. If we scroll down here, the current formula was derived based on statistical modeling using 6 billion miles of fleet data. Expect to make changes. We expect to make changes. Okay, 6 billion miles. Like, let me just tell you, you can't fathom that. You can't understand that number. No human really can. 6 billion is just too large of a number to understand, right? It's no different than how humans struggle to understand exponential growth, right? We think linearly. 6 billion is so many miles that we can't really fathom what that is. So the best way to think about it, it's a lot. It's more than a lot. It makes a lot look like a little. Like, that's how much it is. Okay, and then I love that they talk about how we expect to make changes. In other words, again, core to Tesla, iterate, right? That feedback loop. It's so important, and that's going to make everything better here. Finally, last thing I really want to cover today, improving your safety score. All right, here, I won't read all of these, but you can see that here, Tesla tells you with each one of those metrics, the forward collision, the hard braking, aggressive turning, unsafe following, forced autopilot disengagement, Tesla's telling you how you can improve your safety score. They're telling you how can you be a better driver? How can you help yourself to get FSD beta, right? Be selfish. I would rather everybody who wants FSD beta be selfish. Do it for yourself, because as a result, it's a ripple effect, which will affect other people in a positive way. Okay, so this is what I think is so beautiful about what Tesla's doing. This is why the FSD beta mission is so critical. It's going to save lives. It's going to get us to a cooler world. And more importantly, it's something that each and every person who has FSD beta or gets it can be part of changing history. Right? We can be part of the biggest change that we've seen in this world that equates to lives saved, millions and millions of lives saved. And if you don't care about that, then think about this. The number one cause of death for children is automobile accidents. Okay, now I know people are going to comment and say, what about hunger and all those other things? Okay, aside for something like that, right? I mean, we can always nitpick, but on aggregate, right, holistically looking at this, the number one death is auto accidents. Okay, these can be, we can stop these. This doesn't have to happen. Okay, so those are the things I want you to think about. All right, exciting day. Very excited this came out. Love that Elon said, nope, this is coming out even regardless that 10.1 is going to be delayed by 24 hours. I'll talk more about 10.1 later. This video is getting a little long in the tooth now, but I'll give you a quick synopsis about my thoughts. I think 10.1 might actually have the full stack. I know a lot of people don't think it does, and there's people out there testing it. The full stack doesn't necessarily mean that the FSD beta interface and the FSD beta neural nets and the way those weights are applied equate to the same thing as the highway or for, say, like summoning of the vehicle. what it probably more so means is that it's within the same training paradigm so that people can iterate on it. I don't know any of this for sure. I mean, honestly, Elon will probably tweet something that kind of contradicts everything I'm saying right now, so this may not age well, but just surface level looking at it, in my opinion, I do think that this probably is a full stack. It's just, it doesn't represent the way other people think it should. And I think that's a mistake in the way you're thinking. All right. I think it's still individual. We'll just call it code. It's not really code, but individualized code for each one of those scenarios. And if you really think about it, why would I change the highway to reflect what FSD beta is when the highway is pretty much, feature complete, and it's always improving, but it's I would say it's more complete for its given niche than FSD City Streets is for its niche, right? But we're getting there. I do think, though, for as far as training, that they have moved everything into one consolidated form factor, but I could be wrong. We'll see. Either way, I don't think it's really that big of a deal. If they didn't do it, there's a reason for it. If they did do it, there's a reason for it. But we'll see. It's nothing to get hung up on. We'll start seeing some of the 10.1 videos rolling out. I've already seen a couple that were done late at night, but truthfully, those are kind of pointless at this point. We know the beta, the FSD, does really well at night when there's no one out there. So we really want to see busy times when people are out and about and see more of those interactions. And of course, I will make a 10.1 video, as I always do with each release. Okay, so we're going to leave it there. I appreciate everybody, especially if you stuck to the end. Thank you for the time. I know that these things can, occupy some portion of your time, so it means a lot that you spend your time here with me today. Okay, again, thank you. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. Love you all. Peace.